Edwardian literature was an actual vibe shift. What do I mean? Well, to discuss, we got to start with Queen Victoria, who finally decides to exit stage left in 1901 after ruling literally forever. And then suddenly, boom, we're in the Edwardian era. New king, new century, and well, let's just say the writers, well, they got a little spicy. Today, I'm going to be spilling the ink on how the Edwardian era shook up literature and gave us rebellious heroines, technophobic sci-fi, and just some good old-fashioned colonial guilt. Yeah, I said it. So therefore, grab your cup of tea or your coffee, whatever it is that you're drinking in the moment, and let's talk about it. So, we all know that Victorian writers were really into moral suffering. I'm talking 600-page novels with orphans living in damp cottages and orphanages and like zero kissing. But then the Edwardians came and they were like, what if we stopped punishing people for having feelings? Enter in E.M. Forster's A Room with a View. Have you heard of it? Have you read it? While Lucy Honeychurch, the main character, she goes to Italy and suddenly realizes that she doesn't need to marry her boring fiancé. She can kiss that lower class boy in a field if she wants to. Yeah, she can choose joy. That's a radical ideal, right? See, this is a new era. By the 1900s, Britain had over 1,800 miles of railway and a brand new telephone. Yes, the Victorians built the machines, but the Edwardians, well, they had to live with all the noise.
First electricity, now telephones. Sometimes I feel as if I were living in an H.G. Wells novel.
Here we cue in H.G. Wells, and he writes The War in the Air, and in it, he predicts mass destruction via flying machines and basically invents techno-dread before it was even cool. You don't know that it's cool? I mean, is it? What is techno-dread, you probably are asking me. Well, no. It's not that genre of electronic music that we hear today, but I'm referring to the broader cultural theme of anxieties surrounding technology's potential consequences during the time. See, during this moment and even earlier, English philosopher John Stuart Mill, he was one of the most influential philosophers of the 19th century, and he became a guiding light for modern liberalism. He was like, there are too many books and people read them way too fast. I'd be like, sir, if you could only see book talk on TikTok. Okay, moving on. I digress. Let's talk about Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Marlowe, the protagonist, sails into the Congo, sees black shapes, and acts shocked by what he calls savagery. But see, here's the twist. He doesn't realize that he's the colonizer. He's the horror that he came looking for. Yes, that, my dear friends, is Edwardian Introspection 101. So now, at this time, Edwardian literature finally starts asking questions like, what if women were the main characters in their own stories? Novel idea. No pun intended. No syncope, no fainting couches, no tragic deaths in Act 3, just good old women making good old-fashioned choices. So this is where Lucy Honeychurch comes back into this discussion. Remember the book I mentioned earlier, The Room with a View? Well, she doesn't just find a view, she finds freedom.
He doesn't want you to be real and to think and to live. He doesn't love you. But I love you. I want you to have your own thoughts and ideas and feelings, even when I hold you in my arms. Miss Bartlett, you wouldn't stop us this time, not if you understood.
But that's not all, folks. Soon enough, we've got Virginia Woolf and company walking boldly into the modernist era with their pens on fire. See, Edwardian literature was caught right in the middle. On one side, we had the Romantics who are frolicking in the daffodils, and on the other, we have the early modernists screaming, "Let's make it new," and lighting the old rule book on fire. So what do the Edwardians do? Well, they start experimenting, of course, and they begin to question everything. They begin to write stories that don't resolve cleanly because, well, life doesn't either. So, to sum it all up, Victorian literature told us to stay in line, while Edwardian literature, well, it asked us, what if the line was the problem? So next time someone tells you the Edwardians were just a transition period, hand them the book A Room with a View, tell them to read it, and then say, let's talk revolution, darling. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you love literary gossip with a historical bite, and I'll see you next time with some more fashion history tea. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week. Bye.